Hi, Miss Holmes.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Dabowski.
Okay, so what are we going to be talking about today?
Solubility.
Oh, okay, so that has to do with solutions, right?
Yes.
So what is a solution?
So a solution is, let me write that down, is a mixture that looks the same throughout.
Okay, so that means like if I dump a bunch of gravel in some water, is that a solution?
No,
Why? It looks different, right?
it looks different, yes.
So I can see the water and I can see the gravel.
Exactly, you can still see both of them.
Okay, but does a solution have to be a liquid?
Well, it can be a solid, liquid, or gas,
Okay,
but the solution itself is probably a liquid.
okay. Can you give me an example of a solid solution?
Yes, brass, or alloy, I'm sorry.
Well, alloys, okay. So an alloy I know is like two metals that have been melted together.
Yes,
Like I know if you melt together copper and zinc, that makes
brass.
what? Brass. Um, so alloys are whenever you melt together two different metals and you end up with kind of like a look and a feel of both of them together.
Exactly.
But it's a solid. Okay. What about gases? How could gases be a solution?
So gases,
So, like, what's in the air that we breathe? Do you know?
oxygen,
Okay, what else?
carbon dioxide.
Okay, so all those things look the same, right?
Yes,
Can you see the carbon dioxide molecules floating around?
not visually.
No. So, because it all looks the same,
Yes.
they're like acting like it's one substance. Okay. Uh, so, what is it called? What are the different parts of a solution?
So
So,
the different parts, we have a solute and a solvent.
okay, which one is the one that is being dissolved?
So the solute is the one that is being dissolved, and the solvent is the one that is doing the dissolving.
Okay. Solvent does the dissolving, the solute is dissolved,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay. I've heard of different types of solvent. I've heard of like industrial solvents, like things that really do a good job of like dissolving stuff. But water is also a solvent too.
yes.
Okay. Um, so how does water dissolve stuff?
So water molecules
Uh-huh.
actually they cluster around solid molecules, and oops, let me move this up a little bit. And with the negative ends, they are attracted to the positive ends of the solids, and so therefore the water molecules pull the solid particles into the solution,
Oh, so whenever something's dissolved, like when salt is dissolved in water, it's still solid pieces. It's just so small we
You
can't
can't see
feel
them
them,
anymore.
see them or feel them.
Yes.
Okay, that's kind of cool. Um, so what are things that can affect how quickly or the rate that things can dissolve?
So, for example, stirring, the crystal
Okay.
size, the temperature, all these things can affect how quickly or how not quickly something dissolves.
Okay, so I know stirring speeds up dissolving because,
Yes,
like, I like sugar in my tea. I like sweet tea. So I know if I just take the sugar and dump it in there and leave it in the fridge overnight, eventually it'll all dissolve.
eventually, yes.
But it's a lot faster to take a spoon and stir that up.
Exactly.
Also, I know that using really small pieces of sugar,
As opposed to
so
like a cube.
right. So if you use powdered sugar, it dissolves a lot faster than like the really big crystals of sugar.
Exactly.
Um, and
And also temperature.
temperature,
So
like
cold versus
you're right.
warm.
So like hot tea dissolves like you just dump the sugar in there and it pretty much dissolves. Versus if you have iced tea that's already cold, it's a lot harder to get the sugar to dissolve already.
Exactly. It'll just kind of go to the bottom sometimes.
Okay. So I've heard that gases are different.
Yes.
So is it what how does temperature affect?
So the colder the temperature of the gas, the more gas you have.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. You might want to scoot your
Oh,
table. Oh.
sorry.
So the colder temperatures, the more gas will dissolve.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So I've actually heard of this because I live near Canyon Lake,
Okay.
and Canyon Lake has a dam on it that lets really, really cold water from the bottom of the lake out. And trout live in that water because it's so cold, there's enough dissolved oxygen in there for the trout to survive. So, um, let's see. So, we also,
Moving right along.
on the next page, What about pressure? How does pressure affect the gas dissolve? Will it dissolve
So
more or less?
the higher the pressure, the more gas will dissolve.
Okay. So I don't know if you've ever bought a fish from the store, but they put the fish in like a little bag with a lot of oxygen in it because then it's under pressure and it keeps the oxygen dissolved.
Interesting.
Um, okay, so what is concentration?
So
Or oh,
concentration.
I'm sorry, I'm skipping
Oh, did we
ahead.
miss one? Oh yeah, the substance.
What is
Solubility.
solubility? Okay,
The amount of a substance that can dissolve in a solute. A
okay.
solvent, my apologies.
Right. So I know if I'm adding sweet or sugar to my tea, I can only dissolve so much
Yes.
until it just won't
Won't
dissolve
dissolve
anymore.
anymore.
Okay, so that solubility is how much like sugar I could add to my tea or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Okay. So now what is concentration?
So concentration is basically of how much of the solute we have in the solvent.
Okay. So like Chicken Express's sweet tea is really, really sweet. So is
Yes.
that a concentrated solution or a dilute solution?
Definitely concentrated.
Okay, so a concentrated solution has a lot of stuff dissolved.
Yes, a
All
large
right.
amount. Whereas
So,
a diluted solution has a small amount.
okay, so that's whenever I'm not feeling my sweet tooth and I get the half sugar, half sweet,
Half
half unsweet. It's been
exactly.
diluted. Okay. Um,
So therefore, concentrations can be expressed by the percent by volume of the solute.
okay, so if my tea that I'm drinking is 10% sugar, that's going to be a lot of sugar.
Yes.
But if it's 1% sugar, that won't be
Not
quite
as
as sweet.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so we can say what percentage of it is the solute. Okay, so what are the different types of solutions?
So in reference to our previous notes, we have saturated,
Okay,
unsaturated, and supersaturated.
all right. So what is a saturated solution?
So a saturated solution contains all the solute and solution that can be held at a given temperature.
Okay, so that means like if I'm dissolving water and sugar, it won't dissolve anymore.
Exactly.
Okay, so I've got it at a certain temperature. I've dissolved all I can, and it stopped dissolving.
Exactly.
All right. So then what's an unsaturated
So an
solution?
unsaturated solution it can dissolve more solute at a given temperature because there's not as much in there already.
Okay, so if I've got a gallon of tea, I've only put one spoonful in, then it's
It's
unsaturated
unsaturated.
because
It
I
can
can
still
still add more sugar.
exactly.
Okay. This one's tricky. What about supersaturated?
There's too much. Nothing else can be added for it to absorb anymore.
Okay, so I actually know that this is how people make rock candy.
Oh
They
yeah.
make a supersaturated solution. They boil the water so it'll dissolve more sugar, and then they cool it off. When it's cooled off, then it becomes a supersaturated solution. There's more solute, more sugar than the water can hold anymore, and it forms crystals, which are rock candy.
Rock candy.
Okay,
So
so
by
that's what I was
raising
talking
the
about.
temperature
Right, made by raising the temperature.
of the saturated solution, adding more solute and lowering the temperature back down without disturbing the solution. Therefore, this makes it unstable.
Okay, so it's unstable. That means the sugar is going to form crystals.
Yes.
Okay,
We can add that sugar, it will form crystals.
all right. So, students, there's a section for you to write a summary at the bottom. You should try to summarize these notes in a couple of sentences.
Please.